Hallå, hallå och god fortsättning. Eller hur? Det är första för året. Det är som man ser, eller hur?
Ja, det börjar bli ljusare ute nu också, till och med. Det är ju skönt det.
Ja, exakt. Jag var lite förvånad att säga att 7:30 i morse, det var faktiskt lite ljust ute här i södra Sverige åtminstone. Det var liksom, 8:00 var fortfarande mörkt för en månad sedan. Så att,
Ja, visst. Och nu kan man gå ut lite på eftermiddagen och få lite solljus fortsatt. Det är ju när det är som värst så får man liksom springa ut på lunch för att få något så här, känns som.
Exakt.
Så det börjar gå åt rätt håll. Det snöar häromdagen dock, så nu är det halt igen.
Ja, jaha, okej.
Det är helt okej här i Oslo.
Ja, jag har sett att några har visat att det finns lite snö hos dem och sånt, så att det är intressant.
Var var du bodde nu igen?
Helsingborg.
Helsingborg, ja det är söderut ja.
Ja, men och jag tror att det är det värsta liksom. Jag tror att det är värre än Göteborg när det gäller liksom vintern i alla fall. Det är ingen snö alls. Eller vi har haft snö en enda gång för typ 2-3 dagar och sen det var borta och det är komplett borta. Det är alltid mellan 0 och 6 grader liksom och det är gråaktigt och jag vet inte.
Sommar du i Oslo?
Ja, är det bättre?
Alltså här i Oslo, jag tror Oslo är den mest halkiga staden jag någonsin bott i.
Men ni är lite längre upp norr, eller hur?
Ja, men det blir här töar det gärna på vintern. Men snön ligger ändå kvar. Och så blir det liksom blixthalka då, för det blir liksom helt blankis liksom typ. Och så snör det på lite grann som man inte riktigt ser. Så här är det broddar som gäller, annars dör man.
Ja, okej. Men det är intressant.
Så vad hände sist för dig då?
Ja, det var det enda som jag kan tänka mig som har hänt sen sist. Det är att vi har fått massa layoffs, eller hur?
Ja.
Så kan man få English subtitles, Roy? Jag visste inte det. Det var ett tag. Jag har inte sett Roy på ett tag. Är du kvar i Oslo, Roy?
Så nej, men här i Sverige så har jag sett Spotify har ju sagt upp 6%.
Hur många blir det 6% för Spotify?
De var väl typ 10 000, så jag tror det var 900 någonting. Eller alltså kanske 9, jag vet inte vad det är exakt. Men jag hörde 900, sen kanske det var 13 000 då. Något sånt där. Liksom, typ så.
Ja. Men hur många som är i... okej. Hur många som är i... vad heter det? Som är i Sverige och hur många som är i resten av
jag vet inte, men min syster jobbar på Spotify och hon nämnde ju att det var någon så här som fick gå. Liksom typ så här. Och det tyckte folk var ganska jobbigt. Och det kan jag förstå då, om man säger så. Jag vet inte, var du med i matchen år 2001, 2002?
Nej. Eller jag var med och jag förlorat mitt jobb och jag var liksom utan jobb i 2 år då.
Ja, precis. För det var ju ganska tråkiga tider, kan jag säga. Och jag hoppas ju på att det inte blir lika trist om det nu blir lite tråkigare tider, att det inte blir lika tråkigt som det var 2001, 2002, för då var det faktiskt ganska trist. Och det var inte ovanligt heller. Alltså det var inte ovanligt att folk fick gå ganska länge utan jobb. Jag var flera stycken jag kände som liksom de blev av med jobbet och så dröjde det kanske 1 eller 2 år som du säger då att hitta någonting nytt så här. Det var inte alls ovanligt.
Ja, exakt. Ja, men och jag var CTO just då, så det var lite liksom det var lite svårt att hitta något annat jobb. Och
här kom Mattias Karlsson här, vet du. Och faktum var, vi pratade nu Mattias här om att år 2001-2002 när folk förlorade jobbet då, så då jobbade jag på ett ställe som jag inte trivdes på. Men att ha ett jobb som man inte trivs med är bättre än att inte ha något jobb alls. Det beror lite på hur mycket man inte trivs med. Men då bytte jag. Första jobbet jag bytte till efter det här blev så himla dåligt. Det var faktiskt att jobba tillsammans med Mattias på ett företag. Då träffade vi varandra där. 2003 någon gång.
Framförallt för räkningarna så är det bättre att ha ett jobb än inget jobb, har man märkt. För de fortsätter ju komma. Så att men sen är ju det jag tycker ibland att ibland kan ett tråkigt jobb kan man hitta utmaningar på andra sätt. Man kan refakturera eller man kan typ göra saker bättre eller
Jag kanske ska säga att mitt jobb var inte tråkigt, men jag trivdes inte på arbetsplatsen längre. Och det var lite på grund av att jag tyckte att de hade misskött uppsägningen då. Att de uppsåg upp folk som åtminstone jag tyckte inte var rätt personer att säga upp då. Det var min åsikt. Jag fick ju bara jobbet då, så jag vet inte om jag var helt missnöjd. Men jag tyckte det var vissa personer som jag egentligen tyckte var väldigt dugliga och de fick bara gå på slumpmässiga skäl och det tyckte jag, det irriterade mig då. Men jag var inte beredd att säga upp mig själv på grund av det, utan jag tog ju paycheck.
Men Sverige, det är så att man får säga, liksom sist som kommer in, det är först som går ut i princip vid sådana massuppsägningar. Det spelar inte någon roll vad man har för kvalificeringar. Det är det som är lite dumt tycker jag.
Ericsson och kompani, de köper ju ofta ut folk, för det gjorde de även här, och du vet, de hittar ju sådana här typ grejer som min kompis där, han, som jag tyckte blev uppsagt felaktigt, då hade de identifierat att han saknade kommunikationsförmåga eller något åt det hållet, så här bullshit då. Och därför så platsade han inte in i den här profilen som de behövde och bla 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 bla.
Ja, sen är väl ibland att man märker ju att ibland löser de ju problemet om det verkligen man vill ha kvar, för då kan det vara att man byter team eller att man byter att man promotar eller sådana grejer, arbetsuppgifter. Men det är ju ändå bättre tycker jag i Sverige än man ser ju bara när vissa sparkar i USA så går det ju på dagen och man får ett mejl och nyckelkortet slutar funka här, och det har man ju verkligen stora bolag att det funkar inte i Sverige. Det fick ju till och med Twitter fick ju tvungen att lösa arbetstvist med de svenska anställda de hade, för att så funkar det inte här. Så det är alltid en vågskål det där med. Jag är ju arbetsgivare också, där kan det vara jobbigt att man inte kan sparka någon hur som helst i vissa lägen. Men det är också bra. Så det är både och. Det jobbiga är ju när man om du har anställda som inte sköter sig. Då kan det ta år att bli av med dem, medan anställda som sköter sig kan ju dra på grund av att den du inte får bort. Så att det kan vara lite sånt. Alltså en person kan ju helt sänka ett team. Så det är alltid det är jobbigt.
Det är en svår fråga. Men vilka är mer nu? Så Microsoft sa väl upp 5%?
Alla har sagt upp minst mellan 6 och 10% av deras arbetsstyrka. Liksom Google har sagt upp 6%, Microsoft 5 eller 4. Och grejen var att de kom in och sa liksom, mer eller mindre på dagen. Många som visste inte om det här. Jag hade tur att jag blev uppsagt i juli. Liksom, så att jag hade tillräckligt med tid att hitta något jobb. Inte medan alla andra var ute och sökte efter något jobb. Så att det var nog bra för min del.
Jag läste någonstans att på Google blev folk uppsagda via e-mail eller de kom inte in med kortkontot. Så här. Och då tänkte jag så här, Googles gamla Google, don't do evil. Tänkte jag, hur kombinerar de det liksom med don't do evil?
Ja, men man får gråta hela vägen till banken när de får aktieutdelning helt enkelt istället. Det är så här, okej, vi får vara lite evil, men jag kommer sova ändå. Men sen är det man ska ta i ansiktet, det är ju många av de stora bolagen anställde extremt mycket förra året. Ja, så att Microsoft tror jag anställde 40 eller 50 000 personer förra året. Så det var ju många som pandemin anställde.
We have an English speaking guest. I think you're the first one. You're the first guest that doesn't speak Swedish, Roy. I know you're a friend of the country.
Jag glömde min norsk, alla norsk, men jag snackar lite norsk, icke svenska, whatever.
That works too. I mean, it's fika, so as long as you brought coffee, I hope. So then you're fine.
I had coffee, but I'll have rum instead. How are you guys?
We are discussing layoffs.
Oh yeah, such a happy topic.
We have a board meeting here. We need to lay off people from this channel. So
we'll spin the wheel.
I did the responsible thing and I quit instead. So I think that is the right thing to do. So now I work for myself. So nobody to lay off.
Oh, the worst boss. It's like
exactly.
it's like when I saw a tweet like some bosses only think of themselves and like, okay, I'm our own boss. It's
That's true. Yeah, but I'm actually hopefully very soon I will be a boss because I'm working on actually a startup. So it's interesting. Maybe it means it will be easier to hire people now.
Most likely, I think. I mean, if you're in a position where you're looking for people, I think now is not so bad. It's improved.
Yeah,
And
the
one of the
problem is
things
I'm
that
also looking for funding. That's a big problem.
That's the problem, though.
Yeah.
One of the things that I observed a lot, like both like in 2001 and then 2008, 9, when when we had downturns, always for me the economically was going like this, and a lot of people in IT at least had a good growth and lots of companies. So it is a strange situation, but for many companies or for many people, it is a period of intensive growth, which is
I mean, sometimes you
counterintuitive.
still need IT in a way, because if
Oh
you're
yeah.
for many things, like I see with some kind, like many have moved to the cloud now, have cloud services, but they haven't thought about cost. So now they spend a lot of money in getting costs down, because there's like one customer, they just switch one service from one tier to another tier, and they will save like $1,000 on just that service a month, and that kind of thing is you need IT to do, because you need the skills of the people to. And I was in the telecom business in the beginning of the millennia, and then it was the same thing, because calls were expensive in the beginning, like then, and people started to find better ways to do like virtual PBXs and phone systems and different providers.
Asterisk. I was, I had my own server.
So I want to see that with the cloud now, where people are starting to be more responsible of what services they're using and turning things off. And often with IT, like we need reports to management, or so often there's some IT too, but.
And it can also be that you have services that cost money that you don't really make money off, and you just turn it off. Like a little bit what I think Elon Musk talked about on Twitter, shut things down. People don't like Elon Musk perhaps, but maybe there is some sense to that.
And it could be like third-party services that you have dependency on. Now that you have maybe employees, but you don't have money, it could be that you still need to have the employees there because of reasons. There could be like time to invest in internal to like, should we replace these services with our own code? And because then we don't have to have an ongoing cost. Because often when you have a startup, the important part is to quickly get up and running. And then you can focus on, and then like third-party services are a really good thing, because you can quickly get up and running. But they're also a risk, because the third-party service could be, well, if Twitter was your third-party service, they no longer allow third-party providers. Then you have a problem and things like that. So it could be that now is perfect to do all those things you couldn't done before to improve.
Or if you ever take a dependency on a Google service, right? That can be gone next month, and sorry, guys.
But sometimes, like I see, when you know what you actually need, it could be that I don't use everything in this third-party service. I only use X, and then you can replace that. You don't know that in the beginning of the ERP system or CRM thing when you went to Salesforce for something. But when you like sometimes boil down, what are we actually using? Especially after we have fired half of our product leaders, do we actually need this big engine, or could we go to a smaller engine? So sometimes there could be opportunities even in downturns.
I think there's a lot of waste in the cloud that you can save a lot of money in most cases, I think, by just asking that question.
And I was looking at Microsoft. I mean, people that they fired were people that were working, like they were now, they didn't, they did not, how to say, they just look at, they had people that were actually working for 32 years. And they just said, sorry, but you are working in a team that we no longer believe in, so you need to go. But I think they did it in a better way, at least now. When they came to me, like I just had my vacation started, so I got 9:45. I got the SMS from my manager. Yes, we have. I send you a meeting invitation in 15 minutes. Can you join us, please? So I'm like, okay. I joined. It was Tim and the HR lady, and they told me, sorry, but you need to,
Was this now or like a long time ago?
7 months ago.
Where are you?
So I mean, I was working for Microsoft Denmark at the time. Now I'm not working for Microsoft anymore. So, but the thing was that
But Denmark has other rules. Like Denmark has a weaker employee safety than Sweden has, and that's sometimes a problem. Like I saw that with one of the Microsoft reorgs, where the Danish office was totally slaughtered, but the Swedish office had more of a reorg when they shift seats with people. So,
I think Norway, where I live, is even stronger than Sweden. I think in Norway you even can't really. You have to be careful with the consultants, and in Sweden you can hire people on what's called provanställning, whatever, right?
Mm.
And then you can basically fire people quite quickly. That's not the case in Norway, I think.
And I mean, and the problem is that like it's good to have employee safety, but also like it hinders like you don't.
Sure.
It's a real investment for a company to hire someone then, and then so if you have a downturn, then it will take longer to get back up again.
And as you say, Matthias, right? If you have an employee and you're not sure if it's going to work out, and can you take the risk? And if you have like provanställning, you might be able to say, okay, we can take the risk, and then we don't have to stick around with this person. So, but if you have very strict rules, then you might say, okay, it's not worth the risk, and you don't hire at all.
Or you come out like with creative solutions like contractors. So essentially, you let another company take the risk with the employee, and then you take them in as a subcontractor, and after 6 months you hire them. So essentially, you can try that. But I mean, so they will work around it. But it is what it is.
That's the way. I mean,
Roy, what is your startup? Or maybe you can't talk about it. It's secret.
It's not secret. I'm literally working on it now. I will say that, for example, because we are not funded yet, then I'm not hiring anyone full time. I'm only using people kind of based on hourly work. And because I'm also a developer, basically coded 90% myself.
We have the very first episode from
Sorry.
So I've been heavily involved in the crypto and Web3 space, but not the 90% that is scams, but the 10% is might actually have utility, and that's kind of what I'm trying to build with Legato. Because if you remember, I'm also a musician, and I like to play guitar on conferences and stuff like that. That was my musician kind of jumping into the technical world. But a few years ago, I tried to jump into the music space. That was my middle age, what do you call it? The middle age crisis. But instead of getting a motorcycle, I built a studio, and I decided I want to be a musician and make music for movies and TV and trailers. But then I learned how the music industry works, and it was terrible. If you think about the worst monopolies in the world, then the music industry is you're going to love the music industry. And if you want architectural complexity, I've worked in a lot of big companies and a lot of very complicated architectures. Trying to understand how the money flows in the music industry was the most complicated architecture I've ever seen in my life. Just trying to understand the different players and who gets what, etc. So I wanted to build something that a musician like me would want to use, which is how do you license your music and intellectual property like videos, music, books, trademarks, etc. How do you license them directly to companies instead of going through a lot of middle parties in the middle? So that's what Legato is doing. It's kind of using kind of like a DocuSign, but for Web3, if you think about it like that, or Shopify plus DocuSign in a way.
So you're adding another box to this architecture. You're adding another box to his architecture.
I removed 2 other boxes though. I removed the banking box and I removed the human lawyer box.
I'm joking. It's probably good at it.
You're not joking. It's really, I mean, it definitely adds complexity. And mostly, like my recommendation is that if you're thinking about building something on the blockchain, is by default, do not do it unless you have a really, really good reason to do it. And there should be only like 1 or 2 good reasons to do it. Is if you want to give up control, you want the thing that you're building to live, even if your company gets dismantled tomorrow. You want the thing to continue working, and you want your users to have autonomy. And second, you want that transparency and programmable money. That's like that's kind of the 2 main reasons I see it for using it. Yeah, it's an interesting journey. Either way, I'm learning a lot.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I find it interesting with like things like smart contracts, because we have had problems with, especially like foreign students falsifying their credentials, like their if things like their grades and their diplomas were on a common blockchain, that would be a really good use case where like universities and employers could validate. Because the problem is sometimes some schools aren't there anymore. So that's something you want to give up ownership of. Like you want the person that has the diploma to be the ownership of their diplomas. Not currently, this is the institutions that give the diplomas that you have to ask to get a new diploma or something else. So it would be, so that's the kind of use case I can really see for something like either a blockchain or something that where it's a distributed database of achievements.
Yeah, like an audit log that is read-only, that you can never roll back or change. So you have a full history if you ever wanted to get back. Yeah, so licenses, contracts, and auditing, like the certificates, are great for that.
Now, the problem with, like, if you see something like schools, is like there's so many schools now that are like code camps or short-lived, or and that's the problem. Like if they owned and they disappear, you can't get your credentials out. So that would be cool if someone had that service.
Yeah, I think there are a couple of services that are building these type of protocols that allow you to kind of document your participation in different achievements. And so it stays on your wallet, basically. So you can look at anyone's wallet and see their history. It's great if you want something public, but it's really problematic if you want privacy.
Yeah, for privacy, but like something like you need to be able to verify that someone is still is like a licensed nurse, or if there still are a practitioner lawyer, and that's that kind of thing. Like you don't need the actual sometimes everything to be public, but you need to be the credential, like the achievement, to be public.
Yes,
and the credentials could be verified, but that's the thing. I mean, with a school, at the end of the day, in most countries, including here, I mean, even if you get a diploma for whatever school it's out there, the school is actually certified by some governmental body, and they will be the one vouching that your diploma is the one correct one. So even if the school disappears, you can still verify the diploma. So I don't think that's such a big problem.
But maybe it's different in different countries, and maybe it's deregulated. I don't know. It could be.
But it could be like some countries that are like temporary disabled, like their diplomas were valid until there was a war or something, or like we have people when they flee, and if that database of diplomas was decentralized, a conflict wouldn't matter, because now there are people that, because of their like political refugees or something, they can't get their doctor's degree, or so that's why it would be good if that was something global, decentralized, even if you. Or it could be that the school is like the schools in Kiev now aren't operating like they could, but then they can still they're like the ledger will still be available for anyone to validate.
Actually, I wasn't thinking about that. And countries that disappear, then there is no longer the government to actually tell you that they really went to this school. Yeah.
Because it could be like if you're a really good nuclear physicist from the USSR, they're like they wouldn't probably want you to to validate your credentials.
Right, just put it on LinkedIn as part of your skills.
Yeah, but there's nothing like you can put whatever you want on LinkedIn. So like that's what like if there was a
but you can get people to vouch for you. That's no, you can't cheat that.
Yeah, but
maybe
some like you don't want
CV.
people to vouch for your access skills or something like that.
Yeah.
I should put cosmonaut on my, on my LinkedIn title.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
here's another question, completely different. How is Mastodon working out for you guys?
well, the problem is like there's a few other communities that haven't walked over, and some are like if you see some from the Twitter space, some have just disappeared. They're not either on Mastodon or something else, and some are still behind. And especially
Are you all on Mastodon right now?
I am.
But I'm not active. I mean, I kind of, went on the first week. I created a user. I didn't know where, so I used some Swedish, social Swedish Mastodon or something like that, and then I never went back on that.
I haven't tried it. I haven't tried any of the other services, like Mastodon. What was the other one? There were a couple of others.
Hive, maybe.
It was like something that sounds like with a couple of 2 words, but I don't remember. But either way, I haven't tried any one of them. If from a technology perspective, I'm usually kind of a late early adopter. So they're really cutting edge early adopters, and then there's like the late cutting edge early adopters. So I'm not jumping on the Mastodon bandwagon yet. Because I don't foresee it succeeding because the network effect is not there.
The big problem is non-technical communities because those haven't jumped at all. So they're like if you want to find developers or security specialists, they're on Mastodon, but anything like a news outlet or things like that aren't there yet. Yeah.
But I also think, at least for me, right? I post on Mastodon and I get 0 engagement, complete nothing, And I post on Twitter. Of course, I've been on Twitter a little bit longer, but not that much longer. And I haven't really worked on being on Twitter. But there I get a lot of responses. So for me, it's like, posting on Mastodon, nobody cares. Posting on Twitter, I get some responses. That's a little bit nice.
But correct me if I'm wrong. On Mastodon depends on which server you are, right?
I don't know. This is confusing to me.
It's both because if you see Mastodon, you have both your local instance, but you have like the people you follow and follow you is one sphere of things. Then you have the local instance, which is one, and then you have the Fediverse, which is everyone. And if you want to get notice outside of your instance, you need to use something like hashtags or something because if people follow the .NET hashtag, that will reach outside of your local. But I mean, and that's both a blessing and a curse because it means like one thing good about Mastodon is that there's very few right-wing nuts there because those get like they won't be accepted or their whole instance will be banned from. And that's one good thing about being distributed though.
I heard another thing about Mastodon is that whoever owns the server that you're using has full visibility to everything that you're doing. So you have no privacy as far as the.
But that's always the case. Like Twitter has full. Can look into all your messages.
But you know who is Twitter. You don't know who's the owner of the server.
Yeah, but if you really want, you can host your own.
True.
Yeah, but then everybody that uses that has the same problem. There is a trust there to someone.
Yeah.
I mean, a brand is a trust. So Twitter brand now, with Elon Musk, you might not trust it anymore. But yeah.
I mean, I think it's a full sense of security because, like, if you see, Facebook has exported loads of their data to third parties without people, and that's what, like, so I mean, sometimes a brand is a full sense of security.
Yeah, but I trust them to sell my data to third parties. You see, so there's trust.
Yeah, I mean, at least you have the option with if you really have it's convenience over security sometimes because. I use a hosted service with Mastodon because I don't want to. I know the effort it takes to have a server and pet it and upgrade it and keep it up and running. But I mean, if you need the security, well, then you can host. So you have the option at least to host your own instance.
Well, unknown could be a nice person, right?
I unknown, isn't it?
Yeah, well, that's almost like when you play a new game in the beginning and everything is a fog until you're going to that area. That's like the adventure is everything can be good, and then you walk into a swamp and die. So that's
You know that my first domain name, like under my blog, was iserializable.com, but then I accidentally registered the domain name with a typo, so it was iseriesliable.com. And then I immediately bought the right one, and then I had to redirect so that when you go to iseriesliable, you go to iserializable.com. And then it's so that's my first domain. Today I have like 50 or something sitting in the closet for all of the ideas that I never implemented.
Yeah, I heard that is a sickness some people have, buying domain names.
It is a sickness. It is. I mean, if it's $8 a month, a year, it's
not a problem. I can stop at any time.
Yeah, exactly.
I can stop at anytime.com now. That's a good idea.
Oh yeah, another idea.
Yeah, but it's good. You can see the history and of all of your failed ideas. It's always good for the ego.
Is it?
Yeah, to lower down. If you have too much ego, just go and look at your domain list and say, "How about this one, huh? Hey, you said you wanted to do this to spam and stop sending .me. What are you going to do with that?" Oh, yeah, I did want to do that stuff. Yeah. Well, anyway.
I mean, hopefully you name a good domain name that Apple buys from you in the future.
But you know what's missing for people like you and me? If I buy a domain name and I want to sell it to someone, there is no nice marketplace. Like they're all very, very annoying and frustrating. So I was thinking of creating my own marketplace, and I even got a domain name for it. It's called sellmyurl.com.
And how is it?
It's not a joke. I actually did that, but I never built it.
But you have the domain name.
I do have the domain name, so there's.
You're halfway there. Naming is the hard part.
I'm 5% there, not halfway. Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Well, I have a meeting, so I have to jump. But it was really nice seeing you guys again.
Nice to see you all.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for inviting me. It's good to see you.